Got it.
Welcome, everybody.
Line of finding out about my work bonus. Yay, work
We're,
bonus.
so we're just getting started. I'm going to start with helping us just all like ground and become present for this conversation. We're on our computer so much that we treat a lot of things that we watch on here is, very, I'll say transactional, but as if we're just watching TV. This is something that the intention is to just like really pay attention, commit, take in as much as we can, be vulnerable. So by starting it this way, the intention is to just settle, be grounded, and be more present. So we're going to start with just letting ourselves get really like just relaxed in our seat, whatever is holding you. We've held ourselves all day long. So in this moment, we're going to let things hold us. And so just feel like really comfortable in whatever you're sitting in, standing in, wherever you are. And then let yourself just close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that, or you can look at something really beautiful in your surroundings. And then we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose if possible, if not in through our mouth. Just a deep breath in. And feel it, fill your belly, abdomen up with air. And then a very gentle exhale, letting your body just relax more and more into that seat, leaving everything that you did before where it was. Just letting yourself be present and held here by Anna, Ken, and myself. Take another deep breath in into your abdomen. And then a gentle exhale. Really gently, just let your body release everything out into the earth, out into the ground. Letting yourself be held. We're going to take one more deep breath in through our nose or our mouth into our abdomen. A little longer this time. And then exhale again gently. And then set an intention for yourself for this time. Is there something you want to take away? Is there something that you really want to bring into your relationship? Something you want to learn, feel for yourself, with your partner? Whatever that is, whatever comes up, just let it be. And bring it into your heart, your hand over heart. And you're worthy of whatever it is that you desire. You're worthy of it. So let yourself get the medicine, the nourishment that you need from this hour together. And then when you're done, you can open your eyes and come back to this space, present, aware, and a little more relaxed.
Great. All right. So, by the way, if you can take yourself off of put yourself on camera, it's so lovely to see your faces and to see your smiling faces. You don't have to.
Not mandatory.
Not mandatory, but it's really lovely to see your faces.
The fundamental thing that we're talking about in all of these is connection. So we love to embody that. But again,
oh, look at that. And I love to see your animals. This is great. It's great. So signal's too weak. Don't worry about it. So tonight we're talking about transactional versus partnered relationships. We're going to dive in. It's going to run, let me just give you a little lowdown about how it's going to go tonight. It's going to run about an hour and 10 minutes or so. We're going to talk a lot about the different dynamics of how relationships usually sort of fall into sometimes, especially if it's a long-term relationship. We can get a little bit scratchy with one another, and what the alternative is. And also, this is the second of 4 live conversations that we're doing on our way to Bacalar, Mexico, which is happening in February. We're doing a couples retreat. There's going to be 5 couples, we really want to do like exquisite attention. And these free conversations stand on their own. They are something that we wanted to give, but we also wanted to do a sort of feel for who we are, a couple of things that we'll be working on. For us, we really want the retreat to be very tailored and co-created to each partner and to each couple. But these are some of the things that we touch upon because they are inside of every long-term relationship. There are issues that happen.
Yeah. And we figure if you're on this call, we put a topic out, and then if you're on this call, it indicates you're interested in that topic. So we're eager to dive in. It's just these are a few of the things that we enjoy talking about.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, great. So we're going to jump in.
Yeah. So let's start with I'd love to hear from you guys. When you think of transactional versus partnered relating, what kinds of things, what does that mean to you guys? And you can post in the chat any thoughts you have about what this means, or
what comes
up for you, or even why you're interested in the topic.
Yeah. And we'll continue as you're writing in there.
Yeah.
See people typing away.
Yeah.
It means keeping score.
Keeping score. That's right.
It's great to read you. Yes.
I think it's about being focused on what can I get from the relationship instead of nurturing the relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of being in the relationship.
While you're typing that in, I'll just say, so before we did this is something we talk about on a regular basis. But just as research for setting up for this, we went online to see what the internet had to say about transactional versus partnered. And what we noticed was that the transactional descriptions were very on the mark, and their advice for how to be partnered was very it was very mediocre, very mediocre about what the alternative is. So I'm super excited to get into what it means, what it really means. It's actually the focus of my work is what it means to be in a partnered relationship.
Yeah. So I'll read some of the other ones.
Yeah.
I think it is about being focused on what can I get from this relationship instead of nurturing the relationship. That's right. Never thought of that as a way of describing relationships until I saw your post, but it resonated. Great.
We'll get into the details.
I'm happy to do for others, but sometimes have a hard time accepting someone doing for me. How many people feel that way? Absolutely.
Yes.
Especially if you happen to either be like conditioned as a woman or in a woman's body. Sometimes that's very much the case.
Yeah.
That sounds, I think you meant that sounds like keeping score, not making the relationship more important than the self. Yes. Give me versus relational, unconnected to the dynamic nature of life versus connected.
Yeah.
Yes. Giving and hoping to get something in return. Yes.
All of these things.
All of these are right on the money. Oh, I've got a question. Okay. We're going to go into all of that. Do you want to do this first?
Go ahead.
Go do this first.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, I actually think we should do this first, and then I'm going to ask this.
So I'm going to give some descriptions of transactional, and then later we'll talk about partnered. So if you think of relationship, like it's common to think of relationship as a place to get your needs met. But there's a pitfall in thinking of the relationship that way, because what it does is it turns your partner into kind of a delivery system to meet your needs. And so that's actually kind of the core of where transactional relating arises versus partnered, where you're co-creating. So for example, anytime you feel like you have to compromise in the relationship, transactional relationships can feel very competitive, like there's a zero sum, and then another thing that happens in transactional relationships is that there's this way in which you start treating your love as a bargaining chip. So the things your partner likes, what they need, whether it's love or just your good feelings or approval or praise or sex or connection, the things your partner likes, you start using it as a bartering chip. So you withhold, you reward, you punish, rather than just like you love because you love.
Yes. Though love as a bargaining chip is usually the one that most people do by default.
Yeah.
It's like we just get like,
I'm not going to do the things I know you want because I'm not getting from you the things that I want. And I'm
Yeah.
going to hold out on you until you like, why should I give to you if you're not giving to me?
Yeah.
So that's a dynamic where you're actually in competition.
yes.
You're actually in a battle rather than.
And it usually happens, this is not all the time, but this usually happens because at some point the joy, the kind of generous things that usually happen in the beginning of a relationship where everybody's just like sharing themselves and really giving each other attention and really like making time for one another, the generosity that gets spawned from that, someone at some point starts to put their attention elsewhere, and then one person or both people get upset, and then you start to make stories up in your head about that person, and then you start thinking like, I do everything all the time, they're so selfish. You start like counting, I did the dishes 5 times this week, and what are they doing? How many times have I done the laundry? I've been doing this, or I've done blah blah blah. You start doing that kind of
The
thing.
bean counting.
The bean counting. And then when you start to bean count, what ends up happening is that you use, because you're not actually being authentic, you're not actually sharing any of that stuff, you're not actually talking about these things, you just start to punish. How are you doing? Fine. The generosity starts to just get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And so one of my questions was, when we start to do transactional love as opposed to partnered love, what is the usual outcome of that? What is some of the outcomes of having
a transactional
relationship? By the way, there's nothing wrong, as you're writing in the chat, there's nothing wrong with transactional relationships, feeling disconnected, that's right. Resentments, absolutely. It becomes one-sided, yes. One person's giving and the other person's, basically like, and then becomes the relationship. That's what the relationship starts to look like.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it becomes super subconscious. Like you don't even realize that one person is giving, another is taking. And even, we're going to get into this, I'm sure, but the person who's giving sometimes is doing it because they're getting so much out of the giving, and the other person is receiving, and they're like, oh, like there's like some power trip or something. But there's both sides of it is having a play in it.
I was about to say that sometimes if one person, let's say, walks into the relationship being super successful, right? They're the successful one in the relationship, and the other person is like getting their business up, or they're getting their they're going to school, or they're just not as, like, let's say together in one area, right? The other person is more together. Then that can also set up a particular dynamic where one person is giving in one area and the other person is not giving in that area, but they're giving in other, and then all of a sudden it becomes like a sort of unconscious, fixed, transactional relationship inside of that.
Yeah.
Feeling neglected, if not balanced, absolutely shutting down. Great. And then what ends up happening when you start to feel like it's one-sided, resentment, feeling disconnected, martyrdom, shutting down, what ends up happening? You actually end up solidifying the transactional nature of the relationship. Okay. Once you start getting into that habit, you start to create a story around the other person. And then once you create a story around the other person, you have a lot of evidence that you have like collected over time. And then what ends up happening is that it's really challenging to break through all of that. If one person just starts to break out of that, then you're like, what the heck is going on? It starts to shift the dynamic of things.
Okay. So I want to say,
conversation, like in our first conversation, the like disappears. There's no more like for each other.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's not like you're both not good people. And it's not like you both don't love each other. You're just not in touch with the love that you have for one another.
Yeah. So I want to propose 2 possibly radical ideas about what's underneath all this, like what's at the bottom of driving all of this. And you might agree, you might disagree. I just want it to be something that you guys consider as a possibility. And the first is that this idea that I started with, which is that we think of relationship as a place to get our needs met. And what happens is, what that means is, I'm doing things I don't want to do, that I don't enjoy, in order to get the reward. It's like what's called, there's this idea of intrinsic reward versus extrinsic reward. So intrinsic reward is when you're doing something because you enjoy doing it, because you love doing it. If I go skiing, I'm doing it for no other reason than I actually enjoy skiing. But when you treat a relationship like it's a place to get your needs met, you start doing stuff you don't want to do in order to get the things you do want to do. So it's extrinsically motivated. You're not actually in a place where you enjoy relationship. That's when relationship becomes work. Like, we do a lot of difficult conversations. We push. We say uncomfortable things. We hear uncomfortable things. We admit that they're wrong. All the things that people say is work in a relationship, but it never feels like work to us, because being in a relationship is intrinsically enjoyable to us. The whole thing is enjoyable. So it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like something, like a challenge that you enjoy. So that's the first thing that I wanted to say.
I want to parallel, like, if anybody's ever done like a sport, is anybody here an athlete or has done something that they like really have enjoyed doing? Like, while you're doing, let's say, whatever sport that is, let's say you're a runner, or let's say you play tennis, or let's say you're a swimmer,
or a skateboarder,
or any of those sports, right? Track, football, or cycling. That's right. So if you're doing any of those things, do you want to do them all the time? Are they always enjoyable? Is it sometimes like, oh, that was a really challenging workout, or that was whatever, or I don't really feel like doing it, but you go knowing it's sort of like that mindset where you actually really love this thing in the larger arc. And some of them are a little bit more challenging, but you're up for the challenge because you actually are intrinsically like bought in, you love it, you appreciate it. And so
it's your passion.
So you understand that it involves the whole arc of that experience.
Versus getting your needs met, which puts you in a situation that the relationship is a job that you get paid for in whatever the thing is, right? It's like a difference.
David says, when I was in a transactional relationship, things that I enjoyed doing became work because of how that transactional process damaged the relationship. I just didn't understand that at the time. That's exactly what ends up happening.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for sharing that.
So here's the second thing that I want you to consider. If you ever feel like you have to compromise in a relationship, so we don't believe in compromise, and we have like a different way of approaching it that never feels like compromise. We don't believe that you should ever feel like you're having to compromise. And I want to propose this radical idea that anytime that you feel like you have to compromise, it's because the root of it is because you're lone rangering on something. You're lone rangering. So this can take different forms. There's different forms of lone rangering. One is you love your partner, but you have a really strong, well-defined template of how a relationship is supposed to be, and you're trying to impose it on the relationship. This is how relationships are supposed to go. We're married, therefore this and this and this and this and this. Like you have this template that you brought in that existed inside of you before you got into partnership, and you're trying to squeeze your partner in this relationship into the template that you came up with. Okay, so that's the first form of lone rangering. The second is, well, this is like the same thing, but preconceived ideas about how it's supposed to go, or how it quote unquote should go, and you're imposing that on your partner. Another one is kind of a carryover, like you've got things that you like to do, you want to do, that you enjoy doing, but it's kind of a carryover from your bachelor days or your bachelorette days, where you're creating a new life with somebody, and you're still trying to bring in things. Well, but I like to do this, and you're not recognizing the ways in which, like the things that you were doing when you were a bachelor or bachelorette are not compatible with the relationship that you're trying to build. So for example, it's kind of like if you get a new job, but part of the job is that you have to move to a new location, it's like, well, okay, I'm going to move to the new location and I'm fine with it because this job is really valuable to me, right? So there are things where what's common in all of those is that you're not co-creating with your partner the vision. You're not co-creating the new thing with your partner. And I think of it as a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity if you feel like you have to compromise, because it's almost always the case. Now, I'm a relationship coach. I've been doing this for 23 years. And I'm telling you that what you can co-create if you start with a blank slate and another human being that you love who's smart, intelligent, and mature, and an adult, that what you can co-create together, the vision that you create together through partnership and collaboration, can be better than your template. It can be better than what you were trying to squeeze your people into. But what it requires is a deep level of co-creation, collaboration, and like okay, I'm going to set aside my vision that I had before this relationship, and we're going to start from scratch. How are we going to create an amazing partnership and life together?
Yeah. Okay. We've been talking a lot, and I want to hear what your thoughts are, what's coming up for you as we're talking about this.
How's this landing with you?
Some of the stuff that Ken is talking about is sort of like high, lofty ideals, but how is it for you inside of your like day to day? Also, from some of the other ideas of like transactional, which I think are actually, as you're writing this, are worth talking about, is like transactional ways of being is like, I have to win because it's a win-lose situation, or if you win, then I lose.
What do I get?
What do I get? Expectations, lots of expectations. Blaming.
Quid pro quo.
There's sort of like a way in which it's dealt with scarcity. If I don't get mine, if you get yours, I'm not going to get mine. And if I don't get like, it's that kind of mentality. There's a problem and you're always trying to solve for the problem. Evan, did you want to say something? Wait, you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
It's fine. So tell us how what we've said so far is landing with you.
Yeah, I see some people talking. If there's something that's come up inside of this, because we could talk about it. We could talk about it like in ideas, but then like, how does it actually translate in relationships? How do you go from transactional to the missed opportunity and compromise?
Yeah.
Darren, say a little bit more about that. That's a really big concept. Do you want to share a little bit more about it? Yeah, some of these are like really large concepts, but like if you've been doing transactional relationships for a while, how do you go from transactional relationship to partner relationship? Evan, when we were working with you and your wife, that was something that was a transition. Joe and Amanda, I've only thought of creation within a relationship as having children. We both grew up Mormon, and we taught relationships, marriage would be easy if you're living right. Yeah. Well, I have to say that is a template. That's just what he was talking about. And the template, I'm sure it's sort of like a 50s model. Do you know what I mean? Which if both on the surface is looks great on paper. But in reality, we are messy, unique, quirky,
complicated, quirky,
complex, remarkable, mundane, like we're just like, we don't paint inside the lines, So on paper, I'm sure that sounds great, but in reality, that's just not how it works. And you're nodding your head as an agreement. Yeah. Agree, expectations cause problems when imposed, struggling on giving up something. I love to exist in a co-created relationship, not sure you meant give up. Struggling on giving up something. Yes, we didn't really mean giving up something, and it could definitely sound like giving up something. No, we believe in co-creation.
The piece I want to touch on am I breaking up or no?
No, you're okay.
You're good.
So the thing that helped me hit and realize that you don't have to compromise is that the main piece there is getting to totally understand your partner. Like, we think we know them so well, and then there's so much we don't know, especially as we have kids and our life changes. So the more you can totally like fully understand their needs and wants, and then when you have a desire, look at it from their point of view, your point of view, your family's point of view, it then helps you realize, like, no, I don't have to go spend $1,000 on that tattoo right now because like there's like other things, and then it doesn't feel like you're compromising because you can see it from the picture of everyone in your life, especially your partner. And that's what helped me. I don't want to say get rid of my narcissistic selfishness that pulled off my relationship that really was creating rift between us.
Narcissistic selfishness.
Yes, I would be a little kinder about that only because I know you. It's you know, once we get into these like transactional relationships, we do start to go tit for tat, and it can be very
Yeah.
self-centered, you know,
Yeah.
but I would,
Yeah.
But I also can relate with the feeling that, oh my God, I've been so selfish
yeah,
and I
yeah,
didn't even
yeah,
realize
yeah,
it.
yeah. So I see you.
It takes a moment. So it takes a
Yeah.
moment to get it, and once it's almost like riding a bike, and then eventually just clicks. You're like, and you clicks, and you see everything that's happened before you understood it, and then after you're like,
Yeah.
wow, how did I
Yeah.
ever operate that way?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanna illuminate that even further. It's so to go back to what you were saying about giving up. No. So what Evan is, and then I see you, Anita, that you have your hand up.
Hi, Anita.
Hi.
I know her.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, how lovely. So in a tit for tat transactional relationship, it's black and white, all or nothing. I win, you lose, you win, I lose. That is the mindset. That's the way we look at things. It
Zero
is
sum.
very much like I'm going to give up something and I'm like counting my beans. So what Evan was talking about is it's literally a different like glasses that we put on. It's a different mindset. It's a different way of relating. It's like, it's literally, it's not the same model. It's a whole other way of relating and looking and seeing and being inside the relationship. What he's talking about is, oh, I was so black and white and so narrow in how I was seeing my wife, is that I wasn't seeing her as the full person that she is. I wasn't seeing her as the dynamic 360 human. And so what ended up happening was that as he started to actually get to know her, not from the black and white story that he had in his mind, but from like breaking all of that up and actually being curious, his empathy started to show up. He started to feel compassion and started to feel understanding and started to see, like, break up some of the ideas that he had around, like, she's selfish or she's whatever.
Yeah, I
whatever.
gave a real life example of that actually, because
Right.
I think examples really help. So we were driving. I'm in a hotel right now, with my kids, and we were driving up here, and she didn't sleep well last night, and we were in the car, and the kids were going crazy in the background, in the back, and she was falling asleep, and my old thoughts started coming in of, oh, like, she's been having so much trouble sleeping lately. Like, why didn't she just take care of herself? Like, you know, her anxiety, all these stories started being created, me painting her to be this enemy. And it took me a second to be like, to realize that that is my old pattern of thinking, and see her as just like a person who's just struggling a little bit right now and is a little tired. And like, I can pick up the slack to, in that moment, to help with my kids, because I'm okay. I can handle it. Like, I can handle it. I don't need her to. My anxiety is just needing her to help me feel. What I'm trying to think of. I was I'm trying to regulate off of her, but really I can regulate off myself, and then I can help my children. So it's like, that's how you switch the how you see the situation. But before, it would have never gone there. I just would have spiraled and we got into a fight, and it would ruin the whole car ride, and it would just been a disaster.
Yeah, you grew yourself up in that moment, and you went from like, which by the way, it happens, right? We go into like, to like, okay, I love this person. This person's my partner. We're a team. How do I, like, you know, give here? So there are some really great questions, but I want to go to Anita. Do you want to take yourself off of mic? Do you want to do
Type
in the chat? What would you like to do?
Yeah. Hi, everyone, and hi to both of you. It felt a little awkward trying to type in. And I'm just like feeling into this because I can feel how huge of a like perception and kind of like just a whole paradigm shift it is, you know, and I'm not currently partnered, haven't been for a good amount of time. But what came up for me is this feels so much reflective of like the relationship that one has with oneself, right? And a lot of times, like I can see in myself is so much of my time is spent in roles. You
Oh,
Oh,
oh, she dropped right in the middle. Wait, she's coming back on. There she is. Great. Wait, we don't hear you yet. You're muted, Anita.
Thanks.
Great.
Internet is a little unstable here, so all good. Um, anyway, the point is just for me, I think the roles that I play as like mother and doctor, and there tends to be so much external feedback that's like built into those roles. It can be very tough for me to like sort of come out of the roles and just be in that more organic creative space and to understand that like a beautiful magical relationship would, you know, be born of that. And so I just really sitting with this, and it's feeling like a big mind opening concept. So thank you so much.
I love it. That was such a
And
generous share. Yeah, I
I,
want to
I
say
want
something.
to I want to put something about that also. In being a mother too, transactional and partner relationships are also being a mother, and with your children, it extends to that as well. I've seen that
Yeah,
like fully.
yeah. And what's interesting is that we get so stuck into our roles. Like Anita, you are a person who, if you're you're a doctor, you're a mother, you are the person who people go to get like handled. And so that is in itself becomes a very transactional way of going and being. And you get a lot of feedback, like a lot of sense of self through that, you know, but then it becomes really challenging to be vulnerable and say, hey, I have needs too. Like it becomes a really challenging thing to break that up, because if it feels good to be the person who everyone comes to.
yeah.
Great. All right. So there was a really great question. Dory, do I know you? I think I do. I do know you, right? Okay, great. How can you lay a foundation in a newer relationship to be sure you are opening a door to relational and nipping transactional in the bud? How do you even start that? Ken Blackman.
We're going to talk about it when we get to the homework.
Okay, great. We're going to talk about that, but I feel like we could talk about it a little. Do you want to talk about it a little bit or no?
Go ahead.
Okay. I said this the last time, but I feel like this also applies here. The moment you start feeling resentful, then you start making up stories in your head. I'm always doing this, and he's always doing that, and so, and blah, blah, blah. And you start to make up the story. Guess what? You've already entered transactional land. That is the doorway to transactional land. Somewhere along the way, you have stepped over yourself. You have assumed something. You have had expectations. You had all kinds of stuff. Now, mind you, in relationships, people do hurt our feelings. People do things that are not always to our liking. But then, actually, how do you talk about that? How do you bring relational ways of being, partnered ways of being, when you start to like get triggered into our transactional, like, and that's how you bring it back to relational, partnered.
So I'll add to that.
Yeah,
So
make it clearer for me.
yeah. So first of all, it's useful to notice your own patterns that are in the transactional world. So for example, you're going to have to notice when you're seeing your partner as a delivery system to meet your needs. And you're going to have to catch yourself and not do that. Like, oh, you're not someone who's like, I'm not treating you, I'm catching myself in the moment. I'm trying to treat you as someone who's going to give me the thing that I want. And I'm going to step into, oh, you're my person that I'm doing life with.
Yeah.
You're my co-conspirator in life. You're my partner.
Yeah.
So that's an example. Another example is, notice where you reward and withhold from your partner your love. your love, like you know the things that your partner wants from you, and you know when you're holding out on them to punish them for something that they made you mad about, or because you're not getting the thing that you want, so you're not going to give the thing that they want. And have it be that your love, it doesn't mean that you unconditionally, like you're loving them all the time, or like that's not what we're talking about. But let it be riding on the wave of, like, sometimes you get angry, sometimes you just feel like withdrawing. That's one thing. Like, those feelings come and go, and it's a wave, but they're authentic feelings, and that's different. And you know the difference. I am presuming you know the difference when you're doing it to punish them. You're doing it because you're mad at them, and so you're going to withhold the goodies that you know you can give them, or they're being nice to you, so now you're going to lavish them with all the things you know they want. Like, don't stop using your love as a bargaining chip.
And Ken, I want to speak to that. Sometimes it becomes so ingrained, not only in your relationship, how you were raised as a child, that you almost don't even know that that's how you're operating. So sometimes it almost to amping up your awareness of what you're doing, and in your relationship, in your life, and becoming more cognizant in your, actually not that, it's becoming more attentive into your own healing journey. Because by doing that through therapy, psychotherapy, coaching, then you can then see where these patterns have been built into your life. Like Joe and Amanda said, they were Mormon their whole life. So those things tend to just be built up in your entire life. And it's hard to see how that's playing into creating factors.
Yeah. And within that, you get to say, I love you, and I'm really angry at you right now. I'm super angry at you. Like, I love you, and I'm just so angry at you right now.
That's called partnering with someone.
That is called partnering.
Like, it's being partnered with someone does not mean that you are lovey-dovey happy all the time. It means that you grow yourself up. You figure out how to grow yourself up. And the other person that's in relationship with you also, they figure out how to grow themselves up. So
okay.
I want to bring up what Dave.
I have another one to add to that.
Okay, but first, do you want to answer this? Because I really think that that's a great, yes, when I have been the strong one in this is, David says, when I have been the strong one in a transitional relationship or transactional, it would disrupt the expectations and create conflict when I would bring up my needs and emotions. Absolutely. Especially, I mean, typically, typically the man is the one who's supposed to be strong and taking care of things. This is not all the time, but sometimes in certain transactional relationships, they're the strong one. They're the ones who have to keep everything together, and you're not really supposed to have emotional needs or emotions, period.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you're disrupting the transactional quality of that relationship.
Yeah. And that actually dovetails perfectly with the next thing that I was going to say, which is to notice where you're operating from a template. And the way you can tell that you're operating from a template is, this is what should be happening. Like, this is what's supposed to happen in a relationship. This is what you're supposed to, this is what you should do. This is what you owe me, because, this is how marriages are supposed to go. So this one that you're mentioning, David, is an example of that. Like, yeah, I'm the strong one in this relationship, so I'm matching the template that you have, and when I break that template, then it disrupts things. So that is going to be necessary, is to recognize where you're applying a pre-existing template rather than something you co-created.
Yeah.
And so think of it this way: you're not going to get pushback from your partner on something a vision that you created together. So things that affect both of you, like, you can create a vision together, and I know I said this earlier, but I really want to hit home. You can create something that fits you better as human beings and is much more delicious and like life affirming and fulfilling, that is tailored to you, than the template that you're trying and failing to apply to the relationship. So part of this is recognizing where you're applying this is what should be happening, and dismantle that and co-create something better with your partner.
Great. I love this question that Anita's asking. Can you give more examples of how it sounds to raise needs in a relationship without seeing your partner as the source of getting your needs met? How many people, I mean, a lot of people, how many people want to hear something like an example of something like that? Sure. Because like so many of us are like either push pull or withholding or doing something weird around that.
Okay.
All right. Let's do an
Well,
example. What?
So I'm checking the time, but should we do a role play?
We're going to do a role play.
Okay, we're going to do a role play.
But let's get an example. I'd like to hear an example from you all. Like, what do you want to hear about? Like give me
what's an example of
that
where
you want to
things,
get met, or something that you
or
really,
or someplace where you're
like crunchy.
Yeah.
Me, Darren, me co-creating.
Yeah.
Great. Give me an example of like a topic that you
Okay,
want
give us a topic and we'll do a role
example
play
of.
on it. I need help around the house a bit more.
Always. That's a really good one. And if you want to put another one in, we'll throw that in as well. But that's typically a pretty common one of like needing help around the house. I need space. That's a good one too.
Let's do that one.
You want to do I need space, or do you
Yeah.
want to do I need help around the house a bit?
Let's do I need space.
Let's do it even more complicated. He wants space and I need help around the house. How about that? So we'll do both.
Oh, I was going to do it the reverse.
So you want me to want space and you need help around the house? Great. Either way is going to be fine.
Yeah.
Great. So I need space.
Okay.
Okay, great. We'll do that.
So I'm going to be the smarmy one, and you be the emotionally intelligent.
We're
one.
gonna do it in a way that doesn't work first.
No, I'm going to be doing it the smarmy way, and you're going to be the emotionally intelligent.
Okay,
one.
great.
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 Hi, honey.
Hi.
I wanted to talk to you about something.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot around the house, and I noticed that you haven't been doing much, and I wanted to see if you feel like, helping me with the dishes and stuff like that.
All of this feels terrible. Wow. Okay. This is literally how I would respond inside of this.
I'm giving her a reason
like,
to want space.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm great, but you know what? I love you, but I need
I love you
I love
too.
you, but can I just need a little? For some reason I don't want to be touched. Can you just give me a little bit of space?
Okay.
Great.
You don't like
No,
my touch?
no. In fact, 3 feet away, I need just a little bit of space, just a little bit of space.
So we can talk to each other that way. I don't know that you just jump into it.
No, he's also playing smarmy. No, be a person who's really upset that I haven't helped you.
Okay.
And then I want to be someone who's like, needs space.
Okay.
Great.
Do you have a minute
Yeah,
to talk about something?
yeah,
That's kind of important to me.
yeah.
I would like more help around the house.
Okay. The reason why I just sighed so heavily is because A, I'm exhausted.
Okay.
B, I just got home from a really hard day.
Okay.
And C, I need a little bit of I need to disengage from my life for just a little bit until I can come back and give anything.
Okay, I understand that. I'm a full yes to that.
Yeah.
And I want to ask a couple questions if that's okay. So
Okay.
I'm a full yes to what you just said.
Okay.
I'm hearing that you're not a no to the general question about helping around the
No,
house.
I will help around the house. I've got nothing right now.
Okay, thank you. That feels really good to me.
Yeah.
How much time do you need? Like, not in a.
I know. Just to,
Yeah,
can you?
let me know what you need and let me support you in that.
This is going to sound unreasonable, maybe, but like I need a good hour, tops like an hour and a half, and then I'm yours.
That's perfect. Are you okay with the house being a little bit messy? Like I think I feel like I've done as much as
I understand. I sort of want to put blinders on my eyes right now because literally the house is talking to me whenever I look at the house, and it's just like driving me a little crazy, but I just need to be in the room and sort of just disassociate for a little bit before I come back.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
All right.
Is there anything else you need?
Can you take care of the dog tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you need with the house, by the way?
I would just like, I usually am happy to deal with the dishes like all the time. And to be honest, I'm getting kind of tired of that role. And I kind of like to work something out where it's a little bit more shared than it's been.
Okay. All right. All right. I think that that's fair. I want to make sure I hate to do certain things around the house. And so if we can, I'll pick up extra slack, but there are certain tasks that I hate doing around the
Let's
house.
talk about the ones that you hate that I don't mind, and
Yeah.
the ones that I hate that you don't mind,
Okay.
and like have it
Okay.
be optimal.
Okay. Okay.
Great.
All right. I need to now disengage.
Bye.
Okay, bye. I have no idea how that was. I just like made up stuff. I want something, but I've asked for a lot lately, so it's hard to ask again. Yes. Yes. Mesmerized by the calmness and respect in the
Respect in the
communication. That's
conversation.
right.
We-
He didn't make me wrong. I didn't make him wrong. We talked like two separate, like sovereign beings with life stuff.
Who are in
Also,
partner.
also deep respect and reverence for each other. That's really what's the most important thing.
In fact, I think our whole call last time was about the importance of maintaining your high regard for your partner.
Even when
Like
you're
you can be
upset.
angry with the partner, but still have high regard for them in a way that they can feel it in the way that you're talking to them.
Moira, I want something, but I've asked for a lot lately, so it's hard to ask again. I want to say, like, I'm gonna slightly switch gears for just a hot second here. Moira, my love, my dearest. Sometimes, especially when it comes to desire, and especially when it comes to women's desire, it's not always, but it tends to skew this way. Asking for the thing we want can sometimes feel like we're gonna puke a little bit in our own mouths. And then when we do it, it's so hard to do it the first time. Then when we have to do it a second time, it's essentially like you're asking me to then like give you my entrails, like somehow I'm gonna take my my intestines onto the table, or like, it's just, it can be super awkward and uncomfortable. And if you're anything like me, so that's just like how the conditioning is sometimes for being a woman. And if you're anything like me, it was very challenging growing up to ask for things because that was always a no-no. So sometimes that can be inside the mix as well. I'm going to say something that may sound challenging, but I'm going to say it anyway. Even if you got to puke in your own mouth, ask for it over and over again.
Yes.
And if you can't ask for the really large thing, that's 100-pound weight, I want you to start practicing at asking for the 2-pound weight request. Do you want extra water or an extra coffee or more something at the restaurant? If that's the 2-pound weight, I want every single time you go into the cafe, or if you go into the bodega, or if you go into a restaurant, I want you to ask for that. I want you to start practicing asking for things. Practice asking, like if you get disappointed, okay, great, you got disappointed, get back on the horse again and ask. I want you to ask, okay? I hate asking for stuff. That goes for everybody.
How does that land with you?
Moira, how is that? Thumbs up or easier said than done, lady? Elizabeth Taylor, was that a question or was that just you? Great.
I want to speak to that what you said, Anna. So
Yeah.
basically, and that's how you then become a partner relationship, is that when your partner understands how hard it is for you to ask for something because they've understood you and gotten to know you, and then you can then understand this is really hard for them to ask for you and they're asking it. So then you can be a little more sympathetic to like all the asking. So at least that's how it feels partnered.
Yes, Moira, I'm so sorry you were in a car accident recently. And yes, it's really challenging.
Yeah.
It's even more challenging. And my love, I see you. It's so confronting to need, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. My love. Keep writing inside. What do you do when your requests seem to have fallen on deaf ears repeatedly?
Yeah. I'm just curious, Jamie, is your partner on this call? Okay.
No.
I like my answer is going to be like, consider going to this retreat. Like, let us
Talk to them,
help
yeah.
you handle, like, let us help you get your partner on board with this new way of relating that we're talking about. Like, that's the goal of this retreat, is like, this is one small facet, but if it's one that's meaningful to you, like, we're putting a lot of concepts that are like, yeah, this is great, but how do you actually do it? Well, in this retreat is where we hang on a second.
Talk about this and so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And also, I also want to say that, and
I'm putting the link in the chat so that if you're interested, you can read more about it. And if you're still interested, you can schedule a call with us. We're happy to answer any questions, give you more details.
that's the wrong link.
Is?
That is the
Oh,
wrong
that
link.
is the
That's
wrong
right.
link.
That's to a relationship talk. So I also want to say something else, Jamie, about that is, it's a great opportunity to ask your partner, hey, like the way we just had a conversation, just go, hey, I've noticed, hey, do you have a moment to talk? Hey, I've noticed that I've asked for a couple of things and it sort of like gets dropped or it doesn't happen. And I'm curious about what happened for you, or, did you want to do it? Like, it's an opportunity to lean in and be curious and find out. And if it's not something that you feel like equipped to do, there's lots of support for you.
Yeah.
You can do it with us. You can do it certainly at the retreat. You can do it. There's a lots of support in different areas, but it's an opportunity for you to lean in and ask and have an intimate conversation with your partner.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the key. Both people need to want the communication, interaction, and be open to it. Yes.
Yeah. I promise you that the relationship we're pointing you towards is better for both people. Like, your
Yes.
partner, even if they don't know it, is going to like the new way of relating so much better, because it's going to be generative instead of zero sum.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the keys to making a relationship that actually gets better 5 years from now than it is now, better 10 years from now than it is now. That's the trajectory that Evan and Lindsay are on. Evan and his wife are on.
I want to say something. Sometimes, it's not all the time. Now, mind you, I don't know what kind of relationship you have. I don't know like the dynamics that are inside of, you and the other person that you're in, especially if you're not on the call together, et cetera, et cetera. But sometimes we train the other person to not want to hear what we want to say. Most of the time, because if we're unhappy, sometimes we bring it up to the person, and 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 especially how we bring it up to the person has a person feel like they're super criticized, they don't really want to talk about it, and then people start to shut down around that. What if I say I really appreciate, I'm sorry, this is private. So sometimes we train people in our relationships to not listen to us. I'm not saying that that's what's happening in your relationship, whoever's on, like if you feel this way, but sometimes we do that in relationships. And so I want to suggest also that, what if the person actually wanted to give you the thing that they wanted to, like you wanted? What if they actually might want to give you that thing? But we don't know how to ask for it. We don't know how to ask it well. And we don't know how to make it so that they want to give it to us. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. Okay. It's an hour at this point. So we should talk, we should switch gears. Okay. And then there are some people who are asking me some things, but that's private. So.
Okay. Do we want to do homework? Do we want to ask how?
I want to ask how everything's landing, and then we're
Yeah.
going to do some homework.
So what are some things that you guys are taking away from this talk? And then we'll give you homework.
I want to speak
To
to what
practice.
Heather said also about like she made a promise to herself to share her emotions more. And I think that comes to what we said about being partnered in that, yes. And as your partner gets to know you more, you don't have to express as much because they can also see and like feed off of you. So it's like that nuance. Do you agree with that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Men also, listen, it's not always like people want to win. So it's like if we set someone up to win, hey, it would make me really happy if this, and this. People are like, okay, great, I want to make you happy. Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Um,
What are your guys' takeaways?
yeah. What are you taking away from this conversation? Just want you to know that there's like 3 different conversations I'm in right now, which is why. Yes, Dee, it is, you're going to get the recording of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, thank you. This is a very hopeful way of thinking about being in relationship with another person. Thank you for sharing. It does feel like a journey, not, yes, not a vaccine, absolutely. No, this is an ongoing relationship that you build over time. It becomes ironclad, it becomes like this sort of like bulletproof relationship.
And you get to this place, so just to give you a flavor, like
Yay, Beth! Chris and I are more partnered at this point than transactional. Yay.
I'm doing great, and they're great. Things.
I can learn, so I communicate with more clarity. Wonderful, Moira.
Great.
Wonderful. What were you going to say?
That Anna and I are deeply committed to each other's happiness, and that is a wonderful place to be in a relationship.
Yes, and sometimes that looks. We're generous about that. There are times before loveliness is a state of being, not a currency. Oh my goodness, that's like, that should be on t-shirts. Yeah. someone trademark that. That's amazing. We appreciated listening to calm and collected communication about things. You may be upset about it. It may feel silly to ask for it to be modeled sometimes, but it is incredible. No, we love
Our
doing
role plays
that.
are
The most like the things that people walk away with, like, thank you so much. I think it's the only place to be, and neither of our parents modeled that 100%. Neither, no. My family, people yelled at each other. It was like very scary in my household.
I didn't learn
Nobody
this
ever
in
talked.
my household.
I want to talk about being committed. Sometimes we're so committed to each other's happiness, and there are times when I used to, before him, there were times when I would go on solo road trips for months and just like be with myself. I have like a particular fondness for my own company, and wanted to be in like national parks and around beauty and et cetera, et cetera. And there are times, especially in the beginning of a relationship.
And then she was married.
And then I was married, I was with someone all the time. And I was like, sometimes I didn't want to be away from him, but I missed myself. Like I missed that kind of like relationship to me. And there were times when I would say, it's not that I don't want to be married, I just miss me. And he would,
she said, I don't know that I'm going to act on this, but I want to share a feeling that I'm having. And I was like, great, I love that. And she said, what I feel like doing right now, what I have a craving to do, is to go on a road trip. I don't know how long it'll be. I don't know what'll happen. I don't even know if I'll come back. That is the feeling that I'm having right now. For some indefinite period of time, I just feel like being on a road trip.
Yeah. And I said that, and he said,
and I said, if that's what you want, if that's what's really is what you're craving and what you need right now, then that is what our marriage is going to look like. It'll look like you on the road and me here. I am dedicated to us crafting a relationship that is good for both of us. And
then of course, and this is not, like, I don't want to say this and have people start manipulating.
Yeah, it's not a formula.
It's not a formula. But because he said that and he gave me all the space to have the desire and be myself and be there, it wasn't transactional. It was deeply partnered. I didn't want to go anywhere, and I stayed. I was like, you gave me all the space in the world. I literally don't want to be. Great, I could go whenever I want to. That's amazing. So
I think that was a moment when she realized I wasn't trying to mold her into something that fits my vision. We are going to co-create it
we
together,
just get
whatever
to
it looks
be in the
like.
relationship and be in love together. I'm same, Anna. Yes, Beth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Let's
okay,
hand it over to
homework.
Evan.
Homework, but let's do homework first, and then we hand it over to
Okay,
Evan.
very quickly.
Very quickly. So I want you to do this in your relationships. When you are angry with your person because you're not getting something, and then you start making a story up in your mind, and they never, and I always, and so, and blah, 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 and yada, 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 all that stuff. Take a breath, pause, stop for a second. I want you to interrupt that, and then I want you to tell yourself, this person is my partner. I love this person. I care about this person. This person cares about me. And then I want you to tell yourself the story you have about that person. I'm making up a story that they don't care about me, that they don't see me, that I want, or this, whatever story it is. I want you to interrupt it, and then I want you to consciously bring the story you have that you're making up to the forefront. And then I want you to talk to your person. And I want you to say, I love you, or some version of that. I care about you. I love you. Boy, I'm making up a whole story in my head about X, Y, and Z. And then you ask for the thing you want. Can you help me out? I feel overwhelmed. I really need a hug. I really need this. When's a good time to have that happen? But I want you to interrupt the transactional, knee-jerk, automatic way of manipulating, coercing, doing blah, blah, blah. Just joining. I'm an extra hour behind. You can. Yes, you'll be able to hear the whole entire recording of it. Oh, I love you and care about you. Thank you for putting this together. You're very welcome.
All right.
So
We're gonna
that's
hand-
the homework, and we're going to hand it over to Evan.
Evan, take it away.
Evan!
Close us up. Okay. Evan's doing something very, very important right now.
We are so technologically sharp inside of this. Let's
My
put the your
headphones are just not wanting to work today.
Can you put the link
No.
So I'm ending this on a meditation, but the meditation is also going to be part of what you just said, the homework I'm going to bring into it, so we can actually do it right now.
Great.
Right. So we're gonna this is just like an ending again, like to just help us take everything that we learned and distill it and like kind of bring it into our hearts, into our bodies. And so we can, again, we're gonna get comfortable and close our eyes or look at something really beautiful. And you can just the one thing about meditation is there's you can look like you're doing meditation, and you can meditate to actually get into any posture, any position. It's just be where you are, be comfortable, and let yourself close your eyes, because we do enough pretending in our lives. This is not a moment to pretend. So close your eyes and just get relaxed in any way. And we're going to come back to where we were in the beginning. At the end of that last breath, you can really drop back into places really quickly in meditation. And so we're being held. And right now we have this conversation. We took in all this information into our brain. And so we're going to kind of feel everything that we learned up in our head. We're going to let it come down into our body, into our hearts. And we're going to let us feel what is the medicine, what is the nourishment that we got from this. It might be a feeling in your body. It might be a thought that pops up. Allow yourself to just really feel the energy that was created here. And then we're gonna make a little bit of a shift, and we're gonna now see our partner, the partner that we hope that we have for those who don't have. And I want you to see your partner, their face, and not as it is now, actually, as as it was when they were a child. When you picture your partner as a child, this cute little beautiful being running around, enjoying life, being playful. How can you be upset and angry with this little being, this little ray of light in your life? And so you get those moments of interrupting, making your partner an enemy. Come back to seeing them as this little child, just calling out for love, calling out for attention, calling out for help. Seeing them as maybe you do your own children in those moments, just wanting to give them a hug. They can be okay. I'm here for you. We're here together. Just sit in whatever that love is, whatever that feeling is. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and take all that we've learned, all that was created here. Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dory, this chat is not an ongoing thing. It's just for this Zoom call.
So
Thank you so much for being here, for your generosity in asking questions, in your curiosity. Relationships are the most remarkable, satisfying, nurturing, feeding thing, like nutrient rich thing, and sometimes they are the most challenging, painful, and frustrating things. And it is our passion in life to love well and have others know how to love well as well. So if you're interested in learning more about your relationship, how to do it in a way that feeds the both of you, that feels good ongoing, and you're interested in doing that in a beautiful place called Bacalar, Mexico, please click on the link, and it's just a conversation around it, and we can tell you a little bit more. By the way, we're going to have another 2 conversations about relationships, all kinds of interesting topics over the next couple of months. So please make sure to come and join us. And again, thank you so
and
much
invite
for being
people.
here. Yeah.
Invite people that you think would enjoy this.
Yeah. Good night. Thank you. I appreciate. Thank
Everyone.
you. Bye. Oh, my dears.